David, thanks for joining us the day after the night before, I guess, with Boost the Budget, which has been fantastic. Just to go over some numbers, £189,225 in Boost the Budget from 890 individual pledges, 17% up on last year. How proud of you of that? Are you of that? And what does that say about the fans of this football club?
Good afternoon, Stuart. Thanks for the chance to chat and catch up, particularly on Derby Day. I'm watching a few of the horse races later on, so we're going to celebrate. No, Boost the Budget, fantastic. It's incredible. Every year I run out of superlatives. The fans just continue to amaze me. To raise 189,000 on the back of actually, we did 162 plus 30 last year with the January one to help with Steve bring some players in. To get at 175, I thought was a challenging target. I really hope we get there. But to wake up this morning at 189, I was just over the moon. And so at Terry and Steve, I was talking to Steve yesterday and again this morning, just exchanging texts with him on stuff. This is vital for us in terms of what we're trying to do with the squad. We've got, we have a core squad there, but Steve obviously wants to bring in another 5 or 6 good quality players, then supplement the squad with some loans, from the local professional clubs. And it is a competitive market out there. So the more money we've got in there enables us to bring in the kind of quality that Steve wants, that the board want, and that the fans would love to see. So it's brilliant to get past that target, and now we are sitting down and looking very closely at how best to use that money.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I think lots of Darlington fans are pressing refresh. I think last night and watching it go up, it was amazing. And we'll talk a little bit about next season and what that means in a minute. But one of the last times I think we'll talk about last season, just to change direction a little bit. I mean, it was memorable in the end. It was fantastic in the end. Unforgettable in many ways. But for lots of it, it was pretty tough. It was tough to commentate on. It was tough to volunteer at. I'm sure it was tough to play in as well. But how was that for you last year overall? How tough did it get? And also, what do we take out of it as learnings?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Personally, it was very tough. I think it was very tough for all the board members, everyone associated with the football club, the fans, the players, the management. After quite a number of years of stability on the managerial front, to have 3 different managers in the season was obviously first time for myself. That's something that you don't want to go through. Changing managers is very, very stressful. It's stressful for the people involved. And then making the right selections around that, you do all the best homework, and sometimes things just don't work out. So that was a very stressful season for us. But when it got to Boxing Day, I knew things had to change, and made the decision and got on with it there and then. And so we brought Steve in. It's been superb since then. But from a personal note, very challenging. And it was for the board members. I was talking to the guys consistently, and they were talking to me, and we were always on the phone to each other because in times like that, you do need support at times to go through it. It's a very difficult situation when all the pressure is sitting on the shoulders of 2 or 3 individuals to make sure that you're making the right decisions. And again, this is done part-time, weekends, evenings. It's not the full-time job. There's no remuneration for it. It's just you're doing it for the love of the football club. So it was very difficult, but we got through it, and it was great to have the fans. What was great about that season actually was the fans stood by the players and staff all the way through. That was brilliant. They never turned. They got behind the team, and we got our just rewards at the end by pulling clear. But if you look at the form in the last 15, 16 games, it was great form. We didn't matter who we're playing. We're playing the right football. We're getting the ball down and passing. We're creating chances, scoring goals. It was great to see. And the core players in the squad that were there when Steve came in, they started performing, and the additions that Steve brought in, blended into that, added more experience, more skill, more goals to the side, and we also got out of it. But very tough times for everybody, and you learn through that. You learn. To say recruitment is the hardest thing. I've always said it is. Whatever business you're in, people can perform very, very well at an interview. You can do the right referencing and get the right feedback from people in the game, knowledgeable people in the game, who you trust and you've talked to in the past about previous appointments, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. So you've got to move on. You've got to make decisions. You've got to be decisive, and that's what we did. We corrected the mistakes that were made, and as I say, there are good discussions going on over the summer about what we've learned from that. And I'm still to have a session with the sports group board, but I have shared a paper with them that's slightly redacted because there's a lot of personal stuff in there. But report has gone to them in relation to my thoughts and experiences through that year, and where I think we have to sit down and discuss how we do things better in the future, including all kinds of stuff in there. But it's an interesting paper which we'll be discussing in detail over the summer.
Great and good. That's one of the positive things that I think could come out of a season last season, right? And I mean, I think you're talking about recruitment there being the trickiest piece. If you look at the month of June that we're in now, it's all about recruitment, really. Playing squad side, looking to make those additions that we want to make to drive the team on forward. What's your role in that through the month of June? Steve and Terry showed me his list, or he didn't show me the list, but he showed me that he had a list last week. How do you guys work together as a team to make sure that we're making the right decisions with the budget that we've got to build the strongest squad that's possible?
Yeah, look, I talk to Steve and Terry every couple of days. We have a WhatsApp group, the three of us. They talk about targets. We talk about, we discuss them. We discuss all the things around that, contract length. We look at the age, fitness record, the whole piece around each player that we're talking around. What their expectations are, who their agents are, etc., and when people can become available. So the target list is there. We're in conversation with a number of players, as are many clubs in our region. But it takes a bit of time. We've got to make sure that we get the balance in the squad and the right quality across the pitch. So yeah, there's a lot of conversations going on every day or every couple of days between myself, Steve and Terry.
Yeah, and I think I live in Darlington. I talk to a lot of Darlington fans around the street and bits and pieces like that. And there's definitely a feeling of much more optimism. I think, like cautious optimism, but optimism nonetheless compared to where we were this time last year. Season tickets go on sale next. I'm sure I know what the message will be from you, but realistically, how much difference does that make to bodies through the gate, season tickets purchased, in terms of giving you some certainty about what's available for Steve and Terry?
Look, it's massive. Any income we can bring into this football club is going towards the playing budget. Yeah, so it's massive. The season ticket sales, commercial sponsorship, you name it. Steve and I talked about different things that we'd like to try and do in the next few weeks, like golf days and stuff like that, to get more revenue brought into the football club, to increase the budget. They know the players they want to go after. If you wanted to sign them all at the moment, our budget can't afford that. So it is vital that every penny that comes in, that the guys aren't going to spend the money willy-nilly, but they know the players they want. And it's probably, we've got all of those players, it's more than our budget allows for. But it's now about being selective and getting the right ones. But obviously, if season ticket sales go up, we haven't got to get all our players on day one as well. If the crowds are up at the start of the season, get a good start of the season, and we get increased crowds, we can look to add to the squad as well. But again, once the season starts, it's the availability of players and who you're trying to get hold of, obviously. But we are looking at strengthening across the whole squad with quality type individuals that we want to bring in, and we hopefully have a flying start to the season.
I know I'm reluctant to almost ask this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You're never going to tell me the types of players that you target, and I wouldn't ask you, and you wouldn't tell me anyway. But are the types of players that are going to whet the appetite of Darlington fans? I know we can't get all of them, but are the types of players that you think Darlington fans well enough they're going to respond well to and be excited by?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I'm impressed with the caliber of people we're looking at. But again, you've got to get them over the line. It's hard. It is hard.
Good. Okay. A little bit changing direction, a little bit on the sort of long-term sort of infrastructure bits. I don't know if there's any updates on anything like that. I know we've got Fans Forum coming on July the 26th. So that's the one to mark in Darlington fans' calendar. I think it's at the Dolphin Centre on July the 26th. Any updates on that? And I'm also going to ask you one, David. So, I feel I want to ask you this one. We put a tweet out congratulating the Tees Valley Mayor on his appointment. It caused some controversy. Do you want to just comment on that as well?
Okay. I'll deal with the ground stuff. We are pushing ahead still on several fronts, but we do have now costed schemes, etc. The situation is which is the best site for that, and what does it cost to acquire those sites? We're not far off getting together with a full package, but ultimately, it's a very, very difficult piece to do when you've got. If you look at the cost of borrowing at the moment, it is very, very difficult. The banks haven't been lending. The markets are starting to open up. I know this is my own experience at my business. I'm currently going through a refinancing event there. But the markets haven't been lending. So when you go to look at this, you've got to look at the cost of capital, what it is to acquire, and making sure that your model is sustainable. So you can imagine over the past 6 months, it's been incredibly difficult getting those costs to an area that I believe would leave the club in a sustainable position with the ground. So you've got to then go back and review and revisit and look at the options you've got to come up with solutions. And as I said before, it's having non-football match day revenue driving commercial income for the football club that supports that. So you've got to look at what is achievable from the land available that you've got to use, and who's your best partner to go with, and what kind of development is that? Is it mixed development? Does it include residential? All these questions are in there. And so you imagine it's not just saying there's a piece of land, let's build a stadium. It's just not as easy as that. It's very, very complicated, but we're working through it. I'm disappointed we're being so slow, but I will hold my hand up and say I slowed things down last season because of performance on the field. But now we're picking things back up again and again. I have a meeting next Friday where we're discussing a serious option, which, as soon as we've got somebody to come to the fans with, we will. But I'm not going to come to something that is not deliverable, that is not sustainable, and that is just a pipe dream. It's got to be, fully thought through, costed, funded, and sustainable to make sure that we don't put the club in any risk in the future.
Yeah, but still moving forward is the key piece.
Still, 100%. Yeah.
Good. And then Tees Valley Mayor one?
The Tees Valley Mayor one, yeah. Look, I saw all of the outcry and whatever on social media. My view on this: we are apolitical as an organisation, as a company, as a club, and I will work with whoever I've got to work with to deliver the best result for Darlington Football Club, and that means working with whoever's in power, working with the politicians. And by the way, we do this through the season on both sides of the political divide. I have had guests in the boardroom from both the Labour Party, from the Lib Dems, from the Conservative Party, getting to know the MPs around the area. I've spent a fair bit of time dealing with the House of Lords recently on the Labour side of things, on the football bill, etc., understanding what their position is. This is not about any kind of political statement from the football club. It's congratulate the people who have the power and the influence to help Darlington in the future. And, I remember the same thing coming up when Nadine Dorries came up. At the time, I had to speak to her about various things, about the football regulator in particular. But you can't pick who gets selected into these roles. But when you do, we will work with whoever's in power to deliver that. And, there's a local election coming up soon. Sorry, a national election coming up soon, as you're saying. If you take the polls on that, it's Labour's to lose. Labour are going to get in. And that's almost certain to happen. Again, so I'm already talking to the politicians on both sides, to divide the councils, et cetera, because that's what we have to do. We'll work with whoever is in power and talk to whoever can help, support, and influence to support Darlington Football Club. When I talk about the funding regimes, funding for a football club is, if we're funding a stadium, getting $1 million contribution here or there is a huge amount for us. Yeah. And so I've been talking to, for example, I've been talking to Peter Gibson around the Levelling Up Fund and how Bury managed to secure £1 million. If they can, why can't we? And again, whoever's empowering Don, I'll be doing exactly the same with them. Whether it be Peter or whether it be another political party in there, I'll be talking to them about if one club can access, why can't we? And again, you're looking at, where is the funding coming in for the train station? Where's the funding coming in for HMRC? Where's the funding coming? That's all come through the combined authority of Tees Valley. They have deep pockets. The council certainly don't. The council are running a very tight budget at the moment, and I've never asked the council for a penny. But we've got to look at where there is a chance to get money coming from, and I will be knocking on doors when we come to pulling a finance package together for the ground. And that'll be the government doors. It'll be down in Westminster. It'll be locally up here, and it'll be wherever I can get the money from, because we need that money at the football club. Unless there's many Darlington fans out there of either political persuasion can put that in the pocket and give me £1 million to help with that funding, that'd be gratefully received. So we will talk to whoever we need to talk to, and I don't really care what political party they're in. It's about who can influence to help Darlington Football Club.
Good stuff. I don't look at me, Dave. I'm not giving you £1 million. But joking aside, I hope you don't mind the question because the transparency.
No. Look, I understand why people get upset because they think, I'm showing a political allegiance there. My families were down the pits. Yeah, they were in Horton Pit and whatever, the blast out of Horton Quarry when it came through. Horton Cut got blasted out by the farm. We've had a lot of miners in the family. I grew up in a working class family, et cetera. Labour was always a stronghold at that point in time. But as it's like as you get older, your political persuasions jumps to left, right, here and there, depending on what's best for you at the time and the interests of that. For a football club, it's completely different. We have to be completely apolitical. And people thinking about that's my political persuasion. It's not. To be perfectly honest, I look at where things are going in the UK and in the US, and you wonder why anybody wants to get involved in politics. But we've got to work with whoever is in authority that can influence and support us. And it's as simple as that. And I'll continue to do that.
Good stuff. Message received and understood by this questioner, that's for sure. Moving on, because I'm going to take you away from the racing all afternoon if I'm not careful. So just to finish off,
All
let's
right.
start
I don't think the horse is going to win anyway.
thinking about next season. As I mentioned, I talked to a lot of Darlington fans around the town. I live in the town, and there is that sense of cautious optimism. We finished like no one's getting ahead of themselves, but there's just it feels to me like a really good sense of togetherness, a really good sense of interest in the football club, real good optimism. What are you hoping for next season? I don't want to pin you on a position or something like that, but what does good look like for our club in this next season upcoming?
Well, I'll start with the basics. Not to go through what we've been through last season again. That nearly broke a lot of people, fans, players, managers, board. I'm telling you now, it was tough. So we've got to learn from that and make sure we don't go there again. Secondly, we've got to. I think we've got to recruit well in the summer, but the targets we're talking to, I'm excited by, and I think that we'll be fine with that. Adding quality to what's already there. And I'd like to think that we start solid and we're not in the bottom half of the table. And let's see where the season ends up as it goes on. The beauty of the Darlington fans here, I don't know how many players we'll have come day one of the season where the squad will be full at that point in time. But again, the ability to have a look again in January might be come round again depending on what we need. What is clear, we've got lots of contacts with the Northeast clubs. I had 2 hours with Christian Spellman the other day at Sunderland about just about Matty Young and how well that had gone, and they're very keen to support. And I know Steve's got excellent relationships there as well, but also at Newcastle and again with Craig down at Borough, it's just fantastic for the football club. So I think we'll see us potentially having some loan players in to supplement the squad and get that experience with a group of senior pros in there. And I'd like to think that we do start well and we have that obviously injuries permitting, have a solid start to the season and can look to kick on as the squad gels and gets together and learns to play with the new members that are coming in. So yeah, I'm optimistic. I always am. My cup's always, it's always half full. And I think, you wouldn't be coming to football if you weren't trying to win. It'd be fantastic to win and get a winning start. And then the higher end of the table, it's great because it drives more crowds in, it gets more revenue, enables us to do more with the squad.
Good stuff. Brilliant. David, thanks for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. Much appreciated. I know there's lots of work still continuing to go on, and I imagine maybe the next time we'll get to speak to you will be at that fans forum and in next month or so, by which stage I think the squad will have largely come together by then. We'll be well into the pre-season program. So thanks again for joining us.
No, you're very welcome, and thanks for taking time on a Saturday, Stu. And once again, thanks to the fans. Boost the budget, brilliant guys. I've seen some of the tweets that have been going around from clubs up and down the country. You're the envy of everybody, and so proud to have you as the owners and fans of this football club. I think there should be national recognition for what you do every year. So thank you very much.